Here we have is a letter from the 10 Downing Street, initialed Boris Johnson, about staying home and you know, everything else, and save the NHS and stuff like that, which is basically what they want you to do is stay at home so they can build the NHS up to be able to cope with the more and more people going to die. Even after the lockdown, this coronavirus is going to stay put. People might behave differently when the lockdown is over. They probably, you know, be distanced anyway. But this is not going to go away soon unless they get a vaccine. But we could have done a vaccine years ago to stop it getting into the human chain and infecting us from these pangolins and bats, whatever it's come from. There's a lot of horrible markets out there which are inhuman. They're killing off a lot of animals, cats and dogs, and all sorts of weird seafood as well, and it's like it's very unhygienic. They don't clean the hands, they don't clean the blood. What they butcher to serve, they butcher the animals in front of the customer and serve them, and all that cross contamination from animal to animal. So and is it any wonder that the human chain has been infected? No. So all these markets all around the world, not just in China. China's not the only people who do the same thing. There's a lot of species which are being killed, and there's going to be and like hedgehogs and stuff like that. So it's a shame that all that must stop, to stop any more massive pandemics hitting the human chain. A word to yourselves, like as in UK, unemployed people prior to the pandemic were punished with sanctions and stuff like that. So I think that has to stop after the pandemic, after the lockdown. I think unemployed people should stop being punished for not sticking to the universal credit regime of 35 hours looking for a job and stuff like that. Obviously there's a lot less jobs out there now because probably a lot of businesses are going to close down. But also I do think, you know, there's a lot of mentally handicapped people and other issues who claim PIPs and ESA, which get punished to try and keep them off and say they're fit for work and stuff like that. That has to stop. That has to stop. I did in this letter to the 10 Downing Street, I did mention that at the end of the letter about the DWP and the job centres stop penalising people and making people poor and unable to buy food or lose their house and things like that. So pay the fuel bills. So but by sanctioning them and reducing the, it's ironic that the government has now put the money up because of this pandemic for £1,000 a year about. But yeah, so I think after this pandemic is done, they've had a lot of support from this country regards staying in and save the NHS and save lives. So I think they should stop being bullies because it's not nice to be bullied when you're unemployed to an extent that you can't afford to buy your own food. You have to go to food banks, and also the minimum wage is £8.21. they can get away with paying people 8.21. So all these warehouses and any jobs what's under £9 an hour should now be up to £10.50 an hour, as from after the pandemic and the lockdown. The Boris Johnson said that he wanted to put the wages up at some point in the future, minimum wage of £10.50. Well, I think it should be done now. He's had the support of the people all these past months, and I think what he should do is come back to try and get the work people into work, and he should put the wages to £10.50 an hour, and that's it. Any job, warehouse work, care work, hospital staff, you name it. Anybody under £9 an hour should not be paid that anymore. It should all be on £10.50 an hour, as he promised. Right? I'm just trying to get something from here. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what needs to be done. Minimum, yes, and to give people unemployed incentive to go into work. If there's jobs at £10.50 an hour, unemployed people would then say it is more worthwhile to work. The ones that's left over. There's a lot of unemployed people at the moment because of this pandemic. But when most of them will get back to work, some won't. But I think this £10.50 an hour should be forwarded now. He's had a lot of support from this country, and I think he should pay the country back and up the wages, and stuff like that. So yes, come on, let's get ourselves sorted and get some research into these markets, and get these professionals back into finding cures prior and avoiding future pandemics of any kind, because the next pandemic could be even bigger. We've had the Black Death and stuff like that, measles and all sorts, but these are new pandemics, and they all come from a dirty market, because the people in China and the other countries have these dirty markets selling wild animals, because they can't afford to buy fresh proper meat in the supermarket, so they go to these markets because it's cheaper, and these people on the markets are poor people selling slaughtered animals to in front of the people, and it's gone to that stage that all the people in China and these other countries are used to produce money for the big boys, and yet they're on low pay. So we need to get that all sorted. Big fat cats using cheap labour, and then them resorting, because they can't afford to have a living. They're on less than our minimum wage probably, so what they can't afford to have a living, so they resort to having these 120 wildlife, what we would never dream of eating. We have cows, lambs, sheep, and chickens mainly, and in our diet, and so and even rabbits in this country, we don't have that as much as we used to, like when the old term rabbit stew. So the world should be doing is making people's wages better, and all these pandemics are done because of poor people, and selling these horrible animals which they shouldn't be selling. You know, it's because they're resorting to killing animals what's been found, you know, in the wildlife, and then selling them for profit to feed each other. So that has to stop. So let's get his act together. Let's close all these markets down and pay people decent wages, and stop bullying unemployed people. Yeah, and the minimum. So yeah, that's all I can say with that. I can't think of. I don't want to keep rattling on, but there you go.